Congratulations, class of 2020.
Congratulations, graduates of the class of 2020.
Congratulations, class of 2020. What a year.
I'm sure all of you are disappointed without in-person convocation. I'm disappointed too, since my first PhD student is graduating.
We're so sorry that we can't be with you in person, but we're with you in spirit. The world now needs the skills that you've developed here.
The fact that I'm coming to you in this format reflects the momentous times we find ourselves in. Never in recent years have public health experts been held in such high esteem and so monopolized the attention of the general public. The COVID crisis has reminded the world of the essential life-saving work that we do. There has never been a more important time to be in this field of public health.
But as you know, we in public health are at our best when things are at their worst. The whole world needs your leadership now.
You have learned all the skills, you have practiced them. Now it's time to go out there and show them what you can do.
So go out and save those lives, millions at a time.
You got this.
Congratulations, 2020 graduates.
Congratulations, grads! Woo! And you run, 2, 3, and congratulations! Yay, Manhattan!
Thank you for joining us today. With this convocation, we recognize and honor the unique achievements of the new graduates of the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. We welcome you to our alumni community that advances public health every day around the world. We would like to begin convocation with the following statement. We humbly acknowledge that Johns Hopkins University is located on the traditional and contemporary homelands of Indigenous peoples. Our campus resides on unceded lands of the Piscataway and Susquehannock peoples. We recognize the enduring presence of more than 7,000 Indigenous peoples in Baltimore City, including Piscataway, Lumbee, and Eastern Band of Cherokee community members. As we gather from places across the country and globe, we honor and recognize the Indigenous people of our homelands. Together, we acknowledge the history of genocide and ongoing systemic inequities while respecting treaties made on this territory as a step towards reconciliation and strengthening relationships with Indigenous peoples. We give thanks to the past, present, and future stewards of this land and respect all tribal nations' sovereignty and right to self-determination. We aim to hold ourselves and the university community accountable to tribal nations. I now have the honor to present Dr. Ellen McKenzie, Dean of the Bloomberg School of Public Health, who will preside over these exercises.
Graduates, family and friends, distinguished guests, faculty and staff, welcome to the 2020 convocation of the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. This is an unprecedented ceremony in unprecedented times. To our graduates, I know we are unable to share the same air, shake your hand as we present you with your hard-earned degree, or give you a congratulatory hug. But I want you to know that even though this convocation is virtual, our recognition of your hard work and dedication to the public's health is very real. And on the plus side, this will be the only graduation you'll be able to attend in your pajamas. Today, we graduate 1,023 students from 59 countries. 119 of you will receive doctoral degrees and 904 master's degrees. This is your moment. And celebrating with you today are your parents, your grandparents, spouses, partners, children, and friends who have supported you on this journey. We know they are very special to you and provided support for you all along the way. On behalf of the school, we thank them. Now, it may comfort you to know that you have a special kinship with the very first class at this school. 102 years ago, our first students were confronted by a similar challenge, the 1918 influenza pandemic. 500 million people worldwide were infected, and 50 million lost their lives. Right here in Baltimore, 1/4 of the city's 600,000 residents contracted the flu, and more than 3,000 died. Hospitals put patients in hallways, offices, porches, and tents, and morgues handled 10 times their normal capacity. And as we are doing today, our school led the research and the response to the pandemic, both locally and nationally. When many lives are at risk, public health professionals and scientists always rise to the challenge. The school's founding dean, William Henry Welch, was on the front lines of the 1918 pandemic. As a member of the U.S. Army Medical Corps during World War I, he played a critical role in our national response. I should also note that Dr. Welch himself contracted the flu and nearly died. And Wade Hampton Frost, founding chair of our Department of Epidemiology, devised methods to predict and measure epidemics that are still used today. Indeed, in many ways, our response to the 1918 pandemic jump-started the school's growth as a leading center of research and training in epidemic disease. I recently saw a headline from the fall of 1918. It read, "Hopkins suspends its classes." Well, that is one thing that clearly has changed. Thanks to over 100 years of innovation in technology and the dedication of an amazing faculty and staff, we were able to continue our classes, seminars, and mentoring, albeit remotely. My thanks go out to all of you for your patience and your willingness to roll up your sleeves and work with us to adapt and persevere during these extraordinary times. And what is truly inspiring is your compassion and your desire to go beyond the classroom and help those in need. Let me just give you a few examples. A group of over 80 students produced science-based videos about the virus in more than 25 languages. Our DRPH students in Beijing shipped over 1,200 isolation gowns to Baltimore to support our health systems. Dozens of students helped older adults by delivering groceries and prescriptions. Students have tutored Baltimore school children online, packed boxes at the Maryland Food Bank, and constructed face shields and other PPE. And these are just some of the examples of your incredible contributions. I applaud you and thank you for applying your public health knowledge and training to help the world at this incredible time. We clearly live in a world that is being remade by the novel coronavirus. We live in a world where the routines of work and family are upended. We live in a world that is enduring the pandemic's social and economic consequences and its disproportionate impact on communities of color due to long-standing structural inequities and racism. We must learn from the experience we are living and make the changes necessary to chart a better future for everyone, regardless of where they live and who they are. This is a moment to recognize the cost of ignoring public health, of undervaluing prevention and preparedness. Ensuring the public's health is not cheap. Advances against measles and polio, HIV and tuberculosis, tobacco and traffic injuries, and maternal and child health deaths require investment and constant effort. We are seeing firsthand what can happen when public health is underfunded, when its workforce is ratcheted down. But these are the mistakes of the past. They don't have to be repeated. For a better future, we look to you. You embody the future. You have the power to enact changes that will save lives and ensure a healthier life for all. You are already public health professionals who are exceptionally talented and well-trained. But if you would indulge me, I would like to give you 2 pieces of advice. First, be a leader. You are graduating from the #1 school of public health in the world. You have mastered the science and practice of your chosen profession. That is essential, but as a graduate of the leading institution, you will also be asked to lead. Remember, leadership is a force multiplier. No matter how hard you work, you can only achieve so much by yourself. But by providing vision and inspiring others, you can make a much greater difference. What we need in public health more than anything are courageous leaders who can marshal resources and take action, and speak truth to power. In recent months, we have seen great examples of leadership in our school. I'm thinking of Arturo Casadevall, who is leading a global effort to use antibodies recovered from the blood plasma of COVID-19 survivors for prevention and treatment of the disease. I'm also thinking of Tom Inglesby and his colleagues at the Center for Health Security, who are at the forefront of developing roadmaps for navigating every stage of the pandemic. They have become a go-to, trusted source of knowledge and guidance for leaders around the world. And Josh Sharfstein, who is not only out front working with cities and states to implement best practices, but is bringing many of our students to the front lines of public health to learn firsthand what leadership in a crisis is all about. So leadership is important. But my second piece of advice for you is to be an ambassador for public health. Today's recognition of public health's value will fade. Investments will be made and later chopped back. It's happened before, and it will no doubt happen again, unless we all step up. We need ambassadors who will argue for public health and remind policymakers and the public that this essential field must not be ignored or shortchanged. The cost in lives ended and lives harmed is too much. I call on all of you to always stand up for public health, to fiercely advocate for it, and to ensure its value is not forgotten. As I close my remarks, I have to say I miss looking out on the sea of smiling faces. But I still feel your sense of accomplishment, commitment, and joy. I also see the remarkable efforts made by our faculty, researchers around the world, and by you, our newest alumni. I want to leave you with a favorite quote of mine by the great French chemist and microbiologist Louis Pasteur. He said, "Chance favors the prepared mind." Well, your minds are prepared, your opportunities boundless, and your responsibilities considerable. Go now and do your part to realize the true power of public health. The world is counting on your unwavering commitment to protecting health, saving lives, millions at a time.
I now invite the class of 2020 to recite the International Declaration of Health Rights. The document, composed by faculty and students on the occasion of the School of Public Health's 75th anniversary, expresses the deepest aspirations of public health professionals and scientists.
We, as people concerned about
health improvement in the world,
do hereby
commit ourselves
to advocacy and action to promote the health rights of all human beings.
The enjoyment of
the highest attainable
standard of health
is one of the fundamental rights of every human being.
It is not a privilege
reserved for those with power,
money,
or social standing.
Health is more than the absence of disease,
but includes prevention of illness,
development of individual potential,
and a positive sense of physical,
mental,
and social well-being.
Healthcare should be based on dialogue
in collaboration
between citizens, professionals,
communities,
and policymakers.
Health services
should be affordable, accessible,
effective, efficient, and convenient.
Health begins
with healthy development of the child
and a positive family environment.
Health must be sustained
by the active role of men
and women in health and development.
The role of women
and their welfare
must be recognized
and addressed.
Healthcare for the elderly
should preserve dignity,
respect, and concern
for the quality of life, and not merely extend life.
Health requires a sustainable environment
with balanced human population growth
and preservation of cultural diversity.
Health depends on the availability
to all people of basic essentials:
food, safe water,
housing,
education,
productive employment,
protection from pollution,
and prevention of social alienation.
Health depends on protection from exploitation without
distinction of race,
religion,
political belief, economic,
or social condition.
And finally,
health requires peaceful and
equitable development and collaboration
of all peoples.
It is with great pleasure that I speak to you today. My name is Elisa Atkins, and I'm a fourth-year PhD student in the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. This academic year, I had the privilege to serve you and our student association as president of the Student Assembly. I wholeheartedly extend my congratulations and well wishes to you, your family, and friends. While we endure this isolation together, we must remember to celebrate this momentous day. You have successfully completed another chapter of your life, and you will be moving to different corners of the world, advocating and shaping public health for generations to come. My first language is Russian, and the word for congratulations in Russian is "поздравляю," which literally means be well or be healthy. intending to wish those being celebrated to remain in good health long after their accomplishments. Of all life's gifts, I wish you and your loved ones good health. As you are moving to a new stage after the Bloomberg School of Public Health, I wish to share what helped me succeed in my big life transitions. I call it PPE. No, I'm not referring to the personal protective equipment, even though that is very important in these precarious times. I refer to patience, perseverance, and excellence. Patience is, in my opinion, the utmost underrated virtue. I required plenty of it when I moved to the US from St. Petersburg, Russia at the age of 18 without being fluent in English. I discovered patience is essential when learning a new skill or a language. Being patient with progress and adjustment is key. Perseverance. Behind every successful person lies a myriad of failures. We know distinguished people because of their achievements, but I challenge you to read their biographies and find what they went through to reach that victory. The journey may be difficult, but remember, you now are patient for success to come, and you shall persevere. Excellence is what differentiates an amateur from a professional. It is what gives one candidate advantage over others. It is a choice we all consciously make to be better every day. It is a difficult yet admirable way to live, with a daily commitment to excellence. I want to close with a quote from the iconic Italian fashion designer Giorgio Armani. He said, "History teaches us the new opportunities are born from the deepest moments of crisis." I challenge you to take this time to find the silver lining and to use your imagination to advance public health, support one another, and your community wherever you are in the world. The Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health searched the world for each and every one of you, and you have surpassed all of our hopes. You are the future of public health. On behalf of the Student Assembly, we are proud of you. Congratulations, Class of 2020. Each academic year, the Student Association recognizes our stellar faculty, and I am honored to announce this year's Student Assembly Golden Apple Award winners. The Golden Apple for Excellence in Teaching a Small Class goes to Dr. Alan Scott, who taught Principles of Immunology 1 and 2 in the Department of Molecular Microbiology and Immunology. The Golden Apple for Teaching a Medium Class honors Dr. Jeremy Schiffman, who taught a course in the Department of International Health titled Health Policy Analysis in Middle-Income Countries. The Golden Apple for Teaching a Large Class is awarded to Timothy M. Shields, who taught Spatial Analysis 1 and 2 in the Department of Epidemiology. And the Golden Apple for Teaching an Online Class goes to Dr. John McGrady, who taught Statistical Reasoning and Public Health in the Department of Biostatistics. Please join me in congratulating the Golden Apple Award recipients.
And now a very special honor, the Ernest Lyman Stebbins Medal, the highest tribute this school can pay to a member of its faculty, was established to recognize a faculty member for exceptional contributions to the development of educational programs. This year's recipient is a most respected and esteemed member of our faculty, Dr. Donna Strabino, who is professor in the Department of Population, Family, and Reproductive Health. Donna is being recognized for her enormous talents in teaching and mentoring students inside and outside the classroom. She's made important and ongoing contributions not only to her department, but to the school-wide teaching programs as well. Donna has a legendary ability to meet students where they are, support them in resolving barriers to progress, and act as the closer as they finish strong. Alumni frequently report that her career mentorship played a critical role in their decisions to take on challenging leadership positions in maternal and child health. The depth and extent of her contributions to students have created a powerful, lasting legacy. And as an aside, Don and I were actually roommates in graduate school, so we go back a long way. So I'm particularly proud to present her with this award today. Please join me in honoring Dr. Donna Strabino. The Dean's Medal is the highest recognition that the school confers, and it is my honor to bestow the Dean's Medal on Dr. Cheryl Dorsey. A trailblazing pioneer in social entrepreneurship, Dr. Dorsey leads a nonprofit organization dedicated to the early-stage social sector investing. Echoing Green provides seed grants through a 2-year fellowship to young entrepreneurs who want to launch enterprises that will bring about positive social change. Over the 18 years that she has led Echoing Green, Dr. Dorsey has supported hundreds of young people in their efforts to change the world. And prior to joining Echoing Green, she served in 2 presidential administrations as a White House Fellow and a Special Assistant to the U.S. Secretary of Labor, Special Assistant to the Director of the Women's Bureau of the Labor Department, and Vice Chair of the President's Commission on White House Fellowships. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Dorsey on this very, very special honor. And now it gives me great pleasure to invite her to give our convocation address. I first heard her speak last year and was just blown away by her energy and her vision. Her inspiring message is especially relevant today. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Dr. Cheryl Dorsey.
Graduates, family and friends, faculty and staff, distinguished guests, I'm honored to be with you virtually today as your convocation speaker. A special thank you to Dean McKenzie, Chief Marshal Willis, Elisa Atkins, our student speaker, and others for carrying on with important traditions in unsettling times. A touch of normalcy does indeed feel like a touch of grace. Congratulations to Dr. Donna Strabino, the 2020 Stebbins Medal recipient. It is a high honor indeed to be recognized so widely and well for your role as teacher, mentor, and leader. I'm certainly honored that Dean McKenzie and the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health would bestow upon me the Dean's Medal, your school's highest honor. I want you to know how much it means to me. It is not only a professional recognition that is meaningful, but more importantly to me, a deeply personal one. I am a proud daughter of Baltimore, as well as a public health acolyte and practitioner. I spent my college years studying public health infrastructure in pre-Civil War Baltimore. I recall the countless hours spent combing through the archives at Enoch Pratt Free Library, poring over archival material outlining how structures and systems were built not to ensure the health and safety of the city's sizable free Black population, but rather to protect the health and well-being of its white residents instead. My studies also focused deeply on the structural inequities that carried over into the 20th century. One of this country's most shameful incidents, the Tuskegee syphilis study, had its roots in public health. Carried out by the United States Public Health Service between 1932 and 1972, scientists watched how untreated syphilis slowly and painfully killed over 100 African American men, even though an effective treatment, penicillin, had been developed by the 1940s. It is a painful study at the intersection of race relations, medical ethics, and medical practice. These experiences all led me to the work that I do now, at the intersection of social innovation and social justice. Almost 30 years ago, I co-founded a mobile health unit in inner-city Boston, focused on tackling racial health disparities and infant mortality rates. The Family Van, a trusted community health program, is still on the streets today, committed to creating healthy communities, reducing health disparities and saving money through serving the neighborhoods with the largest prevalence of preventable disease, preventing and managing disease through providing screening, counseling, and onward referral, and helping to train the next generation of culturally competent and diverse health professionals like you all. I will say, however, I am heartbroken, but not at all surprised, that this pandemic has impacted communities of color so severely and revealed vast systemic failures. African Americans comprise about 13% of this country's population, but about 1/3 of the COVID-19 cases. Some of our cities paint a stark picture indeed. Currently, while about 30% of Chicago's residents are African American, they comprise 46% of the COVID-19 cases and 60% of the deaths. Please know that I will cherish this award because I am equally honored to stand shoulder to shoulder with the medal's other illustrious recipients and now be in conversation with graduating public health leaders, some of whom will now commit their professional lives to tackling these kinds of entrenched inequities. You know, the last time I was with Dean McKenzie and Vice Dean for Practice and Community Engagement, Dr. Sharfstein, I was actually in Baltimore with some of you as well, last November at the second annual summit of the Bloomberg American Health Initiative. As Dean McKinsey shared, they were really psyched about my upbeat remarks and all of my energy and infectious optimism. That's why they invited me back. Yet I wonder if they'll question that fateful decision, because I'm actually here today to talk to you about fear and why I think you all should be afraid. First, while these are certainly unsettling times, they are not at all unprecedented. We know that throughout the course of history, disease outbreaks have ravaged us. They have altered the outcomes of wars, they've inspired political reform, they've transformed people's relationships with God, and fundamentally, they've changed the course of human history. So it's appropriate to be anxious and afraid. Fear, in this case, helps to keep us safe. We socially distance. We shelter in place. We wear masks now when we occasionally venture out. But fear can also help us expand and build our emotional repertoire. You will experience a wide range of emotions during this time, sometimes changing within minutes. And that's okay. It's actually important not to minimize your own suffering. While having food, shelter, and clothes are absolutely things to feel grateful for now, I play out this gratitude mantra in my head constantly. You can actually feel grateful for these things and still feel sad or afraid or anxious or angry. There's room for all of these conflicting emotions. I think the key, though, is to call forth more often those positive emotions, which ultimately help to broaden your thinking and attention. They help you not only problem solve and be creative, but also build the resilience you'll need in moments like these. The last thing I'll say on this point is that it's okay to lean into fear, as for many of you, it will help you access the grief you're feeling. Because of this massive disruption to your lives and to society, you've lost your vision for what you thought your near and far future would be. You anticipated hanging out in Fells Point with your school friends to celebrate a job well done. You charted a course for what comes next professionally, but all of that is different now. You know, there was a lot of writing done after the Great Recession of 2008 predicting a new era of high joblessness and how this would mangle young people's career and even marriage trajectories. However, this is not a story that was written for people like you. You are graduating from the top public health school in the United States and are coming online as professionals at the very moment when the world is recognizing the devastating cost of not investing in robust public health infrastructure. You will be in demand and needed to do this rebuilding globally. I would just ask that you recall someday that sense of grief and fear you felt at this inflection point, because there will be many victims of this pandemic with us who are stopped in their tracks and require empathy from leaders like you as they seek to rebuild their lives, however slowly. The second point about fear that I'd make is that courage and fear actually go hand in hand. You are courageous when you do things you're afraid to do. That's just what great leaders do. You know, I was reading some of the work of Dr. Karen Cruz Thomas, the school's historian. She reminded us that another U.S. president also withheld funds and criticized the World Health Organization early in an historic pandemic, that president and pandemic being, respectively, President Ronald Reagan and HIV/AIDS. It was Dr. D.A. Henderson, then dean of what would become Johns Hopkins of Bloomberg School of Public Health, who advocated fiercely for the World Health Organization in that moment. Speaking truth to power is the sword you must yield in the years ahead. Equally, however, important will be the decibel level of your leadership. This is a time for moonshot thinking. Look no further than the Vice Dean for Practice and Community Engagement, Dr. Josh Sharfstein's recent article in JAMA, co-authored with Dr. Bouchner. The article, A Bold Response to the COVID-19 Pandemic, Medical Students, National Service, and Public Health, asks the U.S. to consider suspending the first year of medical school for 1 year and giving the incoming 20,000 medical students the opportunity to join a national service program for public health. The elevation and boldness of this idea, linking together public health and economic security solutions, is a great example of ambition. For such a bold approach may indeed be needed to ensure that the U.S. has an adequate response to the next wave of COVID-19. It does not enter a prolonged depression that will further adversely affect the health of the country's citizens. This interplay between fear and courage evokes for me the image of wave-work pebbles made round by collision between stone and wave. Something new and beautiful comes from that turbulence. Do not fear the audacity and perceived boldness of your ideas. I ask each of you to have the courage to proceed even though others can't yet see what you do. The last thing I'll say about fear actually has more to do with me than with each of you. I must admit that I too in this moment am afraid when I look at the conversations happening in the public square about this pandemic. I watch with growing horror anti-science, anti-expertise, and anti-intellectual forces, making it harder for the general public to truly understand exactly what public health is and what it does. In many ways, your profession has been a victim of its own success. In some cases, public health efforts have been so successful that some may not even be aware of the expertise and really hard work required to ensure the health and safety of communities. My fear is tempered, however, by the touchstone of leadership. It's important to note that the who of leadership matters as much as the what of leadership. Just look around the world at this moment. The countries with the best coronavirus responses are all run by women. Germany, Taiwan, New Zealand, Finland, Norway, Iceland, Denmark. Chancellor Angela Merkel of Germany stood up early and didn't sugarcoat things. She told her countrymen and women she thought coronavirus would infect up to 70% of the population. The president of Taiwan, back in January, at the first sign of a new illness, introduced 124 measures to block the spread of the virus without having to resort to the lockdowns that have become common elsewhere. Prime Minister Katrin Jakobsdottir is offering free coronavirus testing to all of the country's citizens in Iceland and will become a key case study in the true spread and fatality rates of COVID-19. And Norway's Prime Minister had the innovative idea of using television to talk directly to her country's children. Prime Minister Solberg actually dedicated a press conference where no adults were allowed. She took children's questions from across the country, taking time to explain why it was okay to feel scared. You know, the historian Frank Snowden reminds us that pandemics present an unprecedented opportunity for transformational change. Two paths forward have been seen across history, and they couldn't have come to more different outcomes. One allows the pandemic to continue exploiting existing vulnerabilities. This leads us to retreat into xenophobia, ethno-nationalism, and tribalism, as we've already begun to see in many places around the world. Or we could use this pandemic moment as an opportunity to build a better, more just, and sustainable world. I close by admitting that I'm actually not afraid about what's to come. That's because I truly believe in the power of leadership to change the world for the better. You won't prove me wrong if you meet this moment. So gather your skills, your talents, your gifts, courage, and yes, your fear to meet it head on. You have been called to do so. You are ready. I wish you congratulations on completing your studies and best of luck on the world-bending achievements you are on your way to forge. We need you.
Thank you, Dr. Dorsey, for those inspiring words. Graduates will be awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Doctor of Public Health, Master of Applied Science, Master of Arts, Master of Bioethics, Master of Health Administration, Master of Health Science, Master of Science in Public Health, Master of Science, and Master of Public Health. Reading the names will be the chair or other designee of the department in which the candidate's work was done. Reading the names of the graduates from the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology and the Master of Arts in Public Health Biology program is Dr. Shani Wiwaratna, Professor and Chair of the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology.
Maria Claudia Adair, Master of Health Science. Nivedita Balaji, Master of Health Science. Sita Dandekar, Master of Health Science. Margaret Deary, Master of Health Science. Tyler Robert Findley, Master of Health Science. Abhinaya Ganesan, Master of Science. Yuyan Gong, Master of Health Science. Jack Alexander Goodman, Master of Science. Nicole Gorski, Master of Health Science. Shuying He, Master of Science. Alin Izar, Master of Health Science. Caitlin Johnson, Doctor of Philosophy. So-Yoon Kim, Master of Health Science. Ellen Kim, Master of Health Science. Ramya Kolagani, Master of Health Science. Ashrita Kumar, Master of Health Science. Jiang Huan Li, Master of Health Science. Ifan Lei, Master of Science. Maggie Lee, Master of Science. Jenny Lin, Master of Health Science. Jacob McCann, Master of Health Science. Robert Lyle McPherson, Doctor of Philosophy. Karim Ghassan Medlej, Master of Health Science. Camila Montejo Pol, Master of Health Science. Megan Najafali, Master of Health Science. Jane Wynn, Master of Health Science. Bradley Andrew Olinger, Master of Health Science. Lavinia Rizvi, Master of Health Science. Khalid Shukat, Master of Health Science. Christopher Schultz, Master of Science. Eric Arthur Simcoe, Doctor of Philosophy. Madison Studstill, Master of Health Science. Shuoki Su, Master of Health Science.
Athman Swaminathan, Master of Science.
Nicholas Tassone, Master of Health Science. Shraddha Telly, Master of Science. Ravi Thombre, Master of Health Science. Brandon Wen Tran, Master of Health Science. Timothy Sung, Master of Health Science. Adan Velasquez, Master of Science. Michaela Abiuso, Master of Arts in Public Health Biology. Tabitha Jacqueline Acosta Bayangos, Master of Arts in Public Health Biology. Karina Chavaria, Master of Arts in Public Health Biology. Tammy Ann Cook Toller, Master of Arts in Public Health Biology. Jennifer Lentine, Master of Arts in Public Health Biology. Kelly Suzanne Paluk, Master of Arts in Public Health Biology. Jacqueline Ruth Southam, Master of Arts in Public Health Biology. Shanna Sykes, Master of Arts in Public Health Biology. Teresa Weston, Master of Arts in Public Health Biology. Congratulations to the most recent graduates from the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology and from the Master of Arts in the Public Health Biology program.
Reading the names of the graduates from the Department of Biostatistics is Dr. Karen Bandine Roche, Professor and Chair of the Department of Biostatistics.
Benjamin Ackerman, Doctor of Philosophy. Joseph Louis Catalini II, Master of Science. Stephen Cristiano, Doctor of Philosophy. Jacob Fixel, Doctor of Philosophy. Zicheng Zi, Doctor of Philosophy. Jordan Johns, Doctor of Philosophy. Prosenjit Kundu, Doctor of Philosophy. Kate Yuei Li, Master of Science. Yan Lin, Master of Health Science. Adam Pittman, Master of Science. Guanghao Qi, Doctor of Philosophy. Ziyi Wang, Doctor of Philosophy. Zubin Wang, Master of Science. Shuyao Xu, Master of Science. Yuchen Yang, Doctor of Philosophy. Yifan Zhang, Master of Science. Linda Zhou, Master of Science. Congratulations to the most recent graduates from the Department of Biostatistics.
Reading the names of the graduates from the Graduate Training Program in Clinical Investigation is Dr. Franklin Atkinson, Program Director for the Graduate Training Program in Clinical Investigation.
Sarah Rachel Alcorn, Doctor of Philosophy. Abdulia Al Dalmulji, Doctor of Philosophy. Rebecca Ashley Dorner, Master of Health Science. Estelle Marla Everett, Master of Health Science. Samuel Beard Holtzman, Master of Science. Kyle Randall Jackson, Doctor of Philosophy. Michelle Christina Johansson, Doctor of Philosophy. Julia Johnson, Doctor of Philosophy. Marcy Beth Lardenslager, Master of Health Science. Christina Montemayor, Master of Health Science. Jeruska Naidu, Master of Health Science. Jacqueline C. O'Toole, Master of Health Science. Anne Parker, Doctor of Philosophy. Jennifer A. Robinson, Doctor of Philosophy. Jose Humberto Salazar Osuna, Doctor of Philosophy. Jessica Leigh Schwartz, Master of Health Science. Eugenie Shangqing Shea, Doctor of Philosophy. Catherine Elizabeth Simpson, Master of Health Science. Erica Weston, Master of Health Science. Congratulations to the most recent graduates from the graduate training programs in clinical investigation.
Reading the names of the graduates from the Department of Environmental Health and Engineering is Dr. Marcia Wills Karp, Professor and Chair of the Department of Environmental Health and Engineering.
Angela D. Matulak Herrera, Doctor of Public Health. Sarah Marie Alam Elden, Master of Science. Sarah Elizabeth Etreed, Doctor of Philosophy. Rajiv Ayagara, Master of Health Science. Peter Victor Campbell, Master of Health Science. Kevin Kaysen, Doctor of Philosophy.
Fatima Isabel Castaneda, Master of Science.
Malia Ambia Chaudhry, Master of Health Science. Frederick Derman, Master of Health Science. Lieutenant Commander Sharon Edison Mammal, Doctor of Public Health. Magdalena Bandini, Doctor of Philosophy. Matu Bintu Faye, Master of Health Science. Renee Walker Ferguson, Doctor of Public Health. Dana Michelle Friedman, Doctor of Philosophy. Toby Ann Harris, Master of Health Science. Eric Hoffmeister, Master of Health Science. Nadia Hutchinson, Master of Health Science. Gabriel Ennis, Doctor of Philosophy. Jean Dario Jean Binet, Master of Health Science. Rehan Kabir, Master of Science. Zain Kazi, Master of Health Science. Josiah Lash Gephardt, Doctor of Philosophy. Jordan Richard Kuiper, Doctor of Philosophy. Rohan Justin Kuravilla, Master of Science.
Pearl S. Lee, Master of Science in Public Health.
Liwa Shan Sheng, Master of Science. Tara Patricia McAlexander, Doctor of Philosophy.
Alina Marie McIntyre, Master of Health Science.
Danya Ahmed Mustafa, Master of Science. Ashley Newton, Doctor of Philosophy.
Rachel Louise O'Neill, Master of Science in Public Health.
Martha Powers, Doctor of Philosophy. Jennifer Sarah Roos, Doctor of Public Health. Yu Chen Sun, Master of Science. Mega P. Talur, Master of Health Science. Rachel Adair Bahi, Master of Health Science. Margaret Rose Vital, Master of Health Science. Lauren Walsh, Doctor of Public Health. Irene Inwa Wong, Master of Public Health.
Joseph Wilson Jr., Master of Health Science.
Alexandra Yu, Master of Health Science.
Congratulations to the most recent graduates from the Department of Environmental Health and Engineering.
Reading the names of the graduates from the Department of Epidemiology is Dr. David Celentano, Professor and Chair of the Department of Epidemiology.
Sunjae Bae, Doctor of Philosophy.
Laura Ann Bowles, Master of Science.
Yunfen Tao, Master of Health Science. Lelia Harding Chasen, Doctor of Philosophy. Laura Chen, Master of Health Science. Wei Chen, Master of Health Science. Justin Chun, Master of Health Science. Jennifer Ann Dancer, Master of Health Science. Matthew Dobres, Doctor of Public Health. Juan Dent Hulls, Master of Science. Brenda Himanshu Desai, Master of Health Science. Yanan Dong, Master of Health Science. Molly Doan, Master of Science. Joan Huang Dunlap, Master of Health Science. Lindsay Grace Eberhardt, Master of Health Science. Catherine Foti, Doctor of Philosophy. Marissa Hetrick, Master of Health Science. Jing Eao Hong, Master of Health Science. Amy Huang, Master of Health Science. Emily Ann Hu, Doctor of Philosophy.
Dan Jia, Master of Health Science.
Kuning Jiang, Master of Health Science. So Young Sufi Kang, Master of Science. Pritesh Shirish Kariya, Doctor of Philosophy. Esther Kim, Doctor of Philosophy.
Hannah Kim, Master of Health Science.
Ju Young Kim, Master of Health Science. Uri Kim, Doctor of Philosophy. Ming Hao Ko, Master of Health Science. Perry Ko, Doctor of Philosophy. Ben Kushin Shaptaw, Master of Science. Hojun Lee, Doctor of Public Health. Kimberly Lee, Master of Health Science. Catherine Margaret Leifheit, Doctor of Philosophy. Chao Li, Master of Health Science. Wei Yan Li, Doctor of Philosophy.
Albert Liu, Master of Health Science.
Chelsea Liu, Master of Health Science. Fengyu Liu, Master of Health Science. Ya Wen Liu, Master of Health Science. Liu, Master of Science. AC Liu, Master of Health Science. Gingmiao Long, Master of Health Science. Andrea Rose Molino, Master of Science. Morgan Muslim, Master of Science. Shalom Solomon Patole, Master of Science. Philip Purcell, Master of Science. Joyce Jiang Qian, Doctor of Philosophy. Shua Chi Chu, Master of Health Science. Catherine Olga Robsky, Doctor of Philosophy. Marcy Lillian Schaefer, Doctor of Philosophy. Melissa Schnur, Master of Science. Alex Sikora, Doctor of Philosophy. Kate Shearer, Doctor of Philosophy. Nicola Shen, Master of Health Science.
Taylor Small, Master of Health Science.
Anam Tariq, Master of Health Science. Sidi Umarja, Master of Science. Lingyu Wang, Master of Health Science. Aozhou Wu, Doctor of Philosophy. Churong Shu, Master of Health Science. Jade Yang, Master of Health Science. Young Yin, Master of Health Science.
Andrew Yu, Master of Health Science.
Tone Yu, Master of Science.
Xiamin Zhu, Master of Health Science.
Congratulations to the most recent graduates from the Department of Epidemiology.
Reading the names of the graduates from the Department of Health, Behavior, and Society is Dr. Rajiv Rimal, Professor and Chair of the Department of Health, Behavior, and Society.
Hannah Ashan, Master of Science in Public Health. Corey Bradley, Doctor of Philosophy. Jennifer Lynette Brown, Doctor of Philosophy. Aaron Anger Berman, Master of Health Science. Hannah Rosenstein Campbell, Master of Science. Jesse Chen, Master of Health Science. Claire Faith Cooper, Master of Science in Public Health. Nora Krosnohir, Doctor of Philosophy. Leticia Alejandra de los Rios, Master of Science in Public Health. Beata Veronica Dubinsky, Doctor of Philosophy. Lainey Michelle Dratch, Master of Science. Sue Fan Guan, Master of Science in Public Health. Alexis Heidelbaum, Master of Science. Emily Holman, Doctor of Philosophy. Megumi Ichimiya, Master of Science in Public Health. Alyssa Lorraine Jaraki, Master of Science in Public Health. Lena Jeweler, Master of Health Science. Naira Kalru, Doctor of Philosophy. Yolanda Eugenia Clemmer, Doctorate in Public Health. Delaney Mead McGuire, Master of Science in Public Health. Katie Murray, Master of Science in Public Health. Ilana Newman, Master of Health Science. Amy Tao Nguyen, Master of Science in Public Health. Lynn Noel Pereira, Master of Science in Public Health. Diana Fan, Master of Science. Elizabeth Claire Pinion, Master of Science in Public Health. Blake Michael Riley, Master of Science in Public Health. Jonaira Maria Rivera, Doctor of Philosophy. Carl Abraham Shea, Master of Health Science. Stephanie Wei Jin Tum, Master of Science in Public Health. Caitlin Ficora, Master of Science in Public Health. Xiao Lei Wang Leslie, Master of Science in Public Health. Wei Wei, Master of Science in Public Health. Daniel Woznica, Doctor of Philosophy. Chao Shu, Master of Science in Public Health. Congratulations to the most recent graduates from the Department of Health, Behavior, and Society.
Reading the names of the graduates from the Department of Health Policy and Management and the Master of Bioethics program is Dr. Colleen Berry, Professor and Chair of the Department of Health Policy and Management.
George Jacob Abraham, Master of Health Administration. Omniyat Al-Hajeri, Doctor of Public Health. Abdullah Al-Bati, Doctor of Public Health. Eleanor Alexander, Doctor of Philosophy. Osvaldo Arambulo, Master of Science in Public Health. Kimberly Tamia Arnold, Doctor of Philosophy. Jillian Patrice Barbaro, Master of Health Administration. Divine Nicole Bell, Master of Science in Public Health. Jordan Besh, Master of Health Administration. Daniel Bowada, Master of Health Science. Augustus Samuel Carlin, Master of Health Administration. Audrey Chan, Master of Health Administration. Christina Cheka, Master of Science in Public Health. Yi Zhou Chen, Master of Health Science. Quan Chen, Master of Health Science. Iris Chidama Chijoke, Master of Health Administration. Keegan Edgar, Master of Science in Public Health. Ezene Eze Ajoku, Doctor of Public Health. Lindsay Ferris, Doctor of Public Health. Chelsea Finfer, Master of Health Administration. Michael Fitante, Master of Science in Public Health. Margaret Jean Flores, Doctor of Public Health. Lauren Friedman, Master of Health Administration. Jacqueline Page Garcia, Master of Health Administration. Jennifer Ha, Master of Health Administration. Jessica Catherine Hale, Master of Science in Public Health. Lauren Kirith Hall, Master of Science in Public Health. Shingru Her Hay, Doctor of Public Health. Sarah Elizabeth Heilman, Master of Science in Public Health. David Jacob Hoffman, Master of Science in Public Health. Pei Lin Huang, Master of Health Science. Nida Jazami, Master of Science in Public Health. Carolyn Elena Johnson, Master of Health Administration. William Connor Johnson, Master of Health Administration. Kinjal Kakadia, Master of Health Administration. Likita Kavya Kala, Master of Health Administration. Hannah Grace Chong N. Kent, Master of Science in Public Health. Connie Kim, Master of Science in Public Health. Vandita Kumbam, Master of Science in Public Health. Yoang Hong Alden Lai, Doctor of Philosophy. David Matthew Landy, Master of Science in Public Health. Emma Lavandowski, Master of Health Administration. Paul Lee, Master of Science in Public Health. Xiao Young Lee, Master of Science in Public Health. Sang Hun Lee, Master of Science in Public Health. Sarah Lefevre, Master of Health Administration. Zhongzong Li, Master of Health Science. Xinyi Liang, Master of Health Administration. Madison Marie Liggett, Master of Science in Public Health. Brian Lin, Master of Health Administration. Alice Liu, Master of Health Administration. Rosemary Lopez, Master of Science in Public Health. Paul Liu, Doctor of Public Health. Tripti Malhotra, Master of Science in Public Health. Connor C. Moriello, Master of Health Administration. William Roland McCaslin, Master of Science in Public Health. Sarah Law McCowan, Master of Science in Public Health. Kendra Renee Mei-Ling, Master of Science in Public Health. Sydney Abigail Merritt, Master of Science in Public Health. Dominic Neugebauer, Master of Health Administration. Allison Hazlitt Oakes, Doctor of Philosophy. Nancy Akoth Ochiang, Master of Science in Public Health. Jennifer A. Orr, Master of Science in Public Health. Shunshi Yen O, Master of Science in Public Health. Aaron Pack, Master of Science in Public Health. Madana Menaka Padian, Master of Health Administration. Sonal Perez Rampuria, Doctor of Philosophy. Megha Parikh, Doctor of Philosophy. Dhruv Pankaj Patel, Master of Health Administration. Rima Patel, Master of Health Administration. Pong Kwan, Master of Health Science. Zachary Scott Predmore, Doctor of Philosophy. Naganavya Shri Ravuri, Master of Science in Public Health. Danielle Hanna Rossoni, Master of Science in Public Health. Sophie Rottenberg, Master of Science in Public Health. Kaylin Sanders, Master of Science in Public Health. Emily Schultz, Master of Science in Public Health. Melissa Sherry, Doctor of Philosophy. Julie Ann Storr, Master of Health Science. Jennifer Tayaji, Master of Science in Public Health. Diana Taranzawi, Master of Science in Public Health. Ungad Singh Upul, Master of Science in Public Health. Esther Urenia, Master of Science in Public Health. Kanuk Biaz, Master of Health Administration. Sarah Ann White, Master of Science in Public Health. Shannon Wu, Doctor of Philosophy. Farah Emil Yehia, Doctor of Philosophy. Ryan Andrew Yoder, Master of Science in Public Health. Fanyang Zhang, Master of Science in Public Health. Vivian Altieri de Jesus, Master of Bioethics. Cami Marisa Docchio, Master of Bioethics. Casey Joe Humbird, Master of Bioethics. Margot Kelly Hedrick, Master of Bioethics.
Congratulations to the most recent graduates of the Department of Health Policy and Management and the Master of Bioethics program.
Reading the names of the graduates from the Department of International Health is Dr. David Peters, Professor and Chair of the Department of International Health.
Oluwarantimi Damilola Adetunji, PhD. Tashrik Ahmed, PhD. Amber Ruby Alexis, MSPH. Jacob Allen, MHS. Jennifer Ann Applegate, PhD. Ann Lincoln Amzen, MSPH. Kevlin Olandez, MSPH. Pritika Debabratha Banerjee, MSPH. Andrew Bennett, MSPH. Laura Barris, PhD. Juliana Achiro Ball, PhD.
Vanessa Jean Burrows, PhD.
Javier Bustos, PhD. Andrea Christina Carcelen, PhD. Kelly Carr, MSPH. Carolyn Andrea Carrasco, MSPH. Mary Kate Chandler, MSPH. Zara Manzoor Chowdhury, MHS. Hope Craig, MSPH. Lena Eve Daniel, MSPH. Sarah El Arabi, PhD. Kathleen Fallon, MSPH. Amy Stewart Frauchi, MSPH. Madison Friel, MSPH. Rianne Fujita Conrads, MSPH. Ya Gao, MSPH. Tarun George, MHS. Amelia Gersta, MSPH. Mira Gert, MSPH. Fiona Catherine McGill Gruben, MSPH. Poonam Gupta, MSPH. Jessica Handy, MSPH. Rachel Marie Hartman, MSPH. Elizabeth Alice Hazel, PhD. Sarah Jeanette Hinman, MSPH. Xuanning Huang, MSPH. Anika Jane, MSPH. Maya McKee Johnson, MSPH. Katarina Ann Kamener, MSPH. Asira Kazi, MSPH. Anna Harmatz, PhD. Hisu Kim, MSPH. Curie Kim, MSPH. Casey Elizabeth Kinzel, MSPH. Kana Kobayashi, MSPH. James Kunwenda, MSPH. Rachel Lake, MSPH. John Yu Lee, MSPH. Ray Ling, MSPH. Chen Liu, MHS. Sunny Lang Yu, MSPH. Lex Londino, MSPH. Annalise Long, MSPH. Emily Lyles, PhD. Portia Manandar, MSPH. Sweta Manohar, PhD. Catherine Gannett Merrill, PhD. Georgia Mishlig, PhD. Joseph Thomas Millward, MHS. Divya Mishra, PhD. Heather Carol Moorman, MSPH. Caitlin Marie Noonan, MSPH. Iman Nur Hussein, MHS. Anita Alia Panjwani, PhD. Christine McLean Potter, MSPH. Bernadetta Ninda Pranantia, MSPH. Rachel Frida Rabinovitz, MSPH. Anika Ratnayaka, MSPH. Priyanka Reddy, MSPH. Kevin Ree, MSPH. Takira Robinson, MSPH. Eric Nicholas Rodriguez, MSPH. Alexandra Marie Rogers, MSPH. Leah Morgan Salama, MSPH. Ellen Jean Schenk, PhD. Francesca Schiaffini Salazar, PhD. Karishma Sethi, MSPH. Shi Jia, MSPH. Aksha Amar Shinde, MSPH. Prakriti Shrestha, MSPH. Marie Spiker, PhD. Connor Steele McCutcheon, MSPH. Brianna Danielle Stone, MSPH. Niharika Tiwari, MSPH. Hanzi Tong, MSPH. Jasmine Meili Trong, MSPH. Divina Mary Varghese, MSPH. Sarah Lynn Wagner, MSPH. Marissa Lynn Walsh, MSPH. Carolyn Wenzel, MSPH. Yvonne Yiru Shu, MSPH. Alexander John Zaff, MSPH. Eleanor Zavala, MSPH. Ju Ifan, MHS.
Nukba Zia, PhD. Jessica Page Zeisel, MSPH.
Alexandra J. Zimmer, MSPH. Congratulations to the most recent graduates from the Department of International Health.
Reading the names of the graduates from the Department of Mental Health is Dr. Danielle Fallon, Professor and Chair of the Department of Mental Health.
Ademilola Badejo, Master of Health Science. Genevieve Isabel Cheng Kwan, Master of Health Science. Ritu Dahar, Master of Health Science. Samuel Benjamin Doty, Doctor of Philosophy. Sweeney Ama Fiawu, Master of Health Science. Anjul Carolina Gabriel, Master of Health Science. Calliope Brooke Holing, Doctor of Philosophy. Samantha Rose Hutchison, Master of Health Science. Jolie Knapp, Master of Health Science. Noah Kravchik, Doctor of Philosophy. Garrett Kwan, Master of Health Science. Daniel Lakin, Doctor of Philosophy. Lin Jo Ji, Master of Health Science. Amanda Lucan, Master of Health Science. Ria Mehta, Master of Health Science. Priya Shireen Nanan, Master of Health Science. Ifechukwu Cyril Ofanadu, Jr., Master of Health Science. Jocelyn Tiffany Owusu, Doctor of Philosophy. Aditya Pati Banla, Master of Health Science. Gianella Perez, Master of Health Science. Michael Sullivan Phillips, Master of Health Science. Joy Roberts, Master of Health Science. Kristen Schneider, Doctor of Philosophy. Abigail Bryna Shagelman, Master of Health Science. Nausatu Sibata, Master of Health Science. Francesca Silvestri, Master of Health Science. Daniel Alexander Sonnenberg, Master of Health Science. Connor Daniel Stevenson, Master of Health Science. Maya Takar, Master of Health Science. Jonathan Wagner, Master of Health Science. Chloe Janae Walker, Master of Health Science. Ashley Wu, Master of Health Science. Colleen Zarek, Master of Health Science. Paula Jimena Zuvala Billingsley Zurimba, Master of Health Science. Nika Zarenko, Master of Health Science. Yidro Zhu, Master of Health Science. Congratulations to the most recent graduates from the Department of Mental Health.
Reading the names of the graduates from the Department of Molecular Microbiology and Immunology is Dr. Alan Scott, Professor and Vice Chair for Education in the Department of Molecular Microbiology and Immunology.
Charlens Benesh, Master of Health Science. Paul Amajali Delgado, Master of Health Science. Sharuvi Deshpade, Master of Science. Ella Gerke, Master of Science. Michael DaCosta Irving, Master of Health Science. Taewoo Kim, Master of Science. Rachel Kryzik, Master of Health Science. Seju Lee, Master of Science. Jade Lee, Master of Health Science. Shimao Hua, Master of Science. Hannah Josephine McLeod, Doctor of Philosophy. Xieming Mao, Master of Science. Brian Anoche Maloku, Master of Health Science. Tiffany Dowlin Pan, Master of Science. Harrison Powell, Doctor of Philosophy. Sarah Shapiro, Master of Health Science. Ritwik Singhal, Master of Science. Brendan Daniel Smith, Doctor of Philosophy. Zachary D. Stolp, Doctor of Philosophy. Aldo Trevijo, Master of Health Science. Elizabeth Marie Troisi, Doctor of Philosophy. Sudant Hemant Vyas, Master of Science. Rachel Marie West, Doctor of Philosophy. Jane Z. Ye, Doctor of Philosophy.
Congratulations to the most recent graduates from the Department of Molecular Microbiology and Immunology.
Reading the names of the Master of Applied Science graduates from the online programs for Applied Learning is Dr. Elizabeth Golub, Director of the online programs for Applied Learning.
David Ricardo Abanza Martinez. Riley Christine Axe. Miriam Ahmad. Ali Alaga. Saja Al-Shama. Sarah Elaine Winslow Alton. Ariana Maver Loreche Amit. Jenny Renee Anderson. Scholastica Baimana. Joselito Balatbat. William Lamont Barnes. Susan Bartlett Yee. Eric James Beal. Sarah Benashore. Jill Bennett. Elizabeth Ann Bettinelli. Julia Beach. Emily Bishko. Teresa Carey Biddle. Maggie Baum Jordan. Faith Brannon. Joseph Michael Bray. Stephanie Swafford Bruce. Michelle Burgess, Justin Cariello, Rachel Carpenter, Paula Malika Chester Cumberbatch, Ogechi Allison Chima, Pamela J. Cochran, Timothy Cooper, Marilee Cox, Anne Crapo, Casey Sedatal Crittenden, Gina Cruz, Priscilla Marie Cruz Manoyo, Lisa Marie Del Signor Hoig, Elachu Etsub Desta, Nitin Yeshwand Dupdali, Aaron Dobrennan, Colin Albright Drake, Dale Dubell, Lisa Dubrovsky, Susan Iris Duteau, Russia Abdelmonem Kidder Al-Nameiri, Amy Emmert, Ellen Feit, Erin Asali Fleming, Ryan Flowers, Thomas Christopher Frey, Veronica Gillespie Bell, Jonathan David Golden, Gabriela Gonzalez, Lisbeth Gonzalez, Darshan Carr Grewal, Mervyn Griffin, Bruce Guerrier, Elizabeth Jane Haynes, Japorsha Sierra Hamilton, Ashley Elise Herbig, Jennifer Lorette Hernandez, Amelia May Hoover, Shelley Ann Hope, Sarah Ann Herreo, Weilin Huang, Yingkai Hui, Nicole Hudsonloeb, Asha Gaines Emmanuel, Si-Jun Jong, Elizabeth Jabarani Jayaraj, Princess Jane Joseph, Ahmad Walid Joyan, Alexa Joyce, Konstantina Katsaunis, Tara Kelly, Benjamin James Kern, Jisoo Kim, Olivia Knight, Danielle Winner Kuntz, Julia Krzyzewski, Katrina Kulik, Nora Aloysius Denny Lanahan, Dawn Andrea Lewis, Lauren Loba, Rochelle M. Lowe, Amy Louise Licey, Laura K. Meka, Aiktha Malvania, Joel Jorge Mantilla, Margaret Ann Marcoux, Catherine Victoria Marker, Elizabeth Leanne McElwee, Nadia McCunnan, Erica Mendoza, Erica J. Middleton, Gayatri Marani, Aziza Mohammed, Jonathan William Molander, Laura Sue Moore. Corey Brianna Neighbors. Dustin Wynn. Deborah Ann Nichols. Michael Patrick O'Brien. Allison Pack. Jaeyoung Lee Park. Sylvia Peaschor. Amy Christine Puran. Emily Lauren Cutel. Bruno Rambeau. Gail Ranglin Edwards. Whitney Alexis Raska. Cornelia Riedel. Dev Roy. Asha Susan Roy. Alexis Grace Saji. Aaron Saunders. Angela Schaefer. Marydette Schlo. Gretchen Shanofsky. Gregory Sarunian. Daniel Smith. Aurora Lynn Snyder. Meredith Erin St. Cyr. Julie Elizabeth Strykowski. Loveline Tangwan. Heather Lee Taylor. Samantha Dendroaspis Thomas. Lindsay Nicole Thompson. Agnes Torchio. Kim Tuyin T. Tran. Alexander Vartanov. Denise Ventura. Maureen Virgil. Mindy Fogel. Katie Wang. Justin Matthew Weiss. Keela Watley. Dash Wieland. Christy Marie Ellen Wilkeson. Donna Miller Wilson. Stephanie Wolfley. Taylor Brooke Wooten. Paige Heather Wyrick. Sarah Yankee Frempin. Anne Yastrzemski. Jeffrey Young. Lauren Elizabeth Yobs. Rezwana Banu Zuhir. Jinhao Zhou. Congratulations to the most recent Master of Applied Science graduates from the online programs for applied learning.
Reading the names of the graduates from the Department of Population, Family, and Reproductive Health is Dr. Cynthia Minkovitz, Professor and Chair of the Department of Population, Family, and Reproductive Health.
Blair Berger, Doctor of Philosophy. Anvita Bardwaj, Master of Science in Public Health. Alexis Campbell, Master of Science in Public Health. Lillian Collins, Doctor of Philosophy. Monica Dutta, Master of Science in Public Health. Danielle Gaskin, Master of Science in Public Health. Sharon Huang, Master of Science in Public Health. Arshdeep Kaur, Master of Science in Public Health. Michelle Martinez, Master of Science in Public Health. Alexandria Mickler, Master of Science in Public Health. Aditi Patrikar, Master of Science in Public Health. Brittany Shapiro Dooley, Master of Science in Public Health. Claire Silberg, Master of Science in Public Health. Rebecca Skinner, Master of Science in Public Health. Kaylee Smith, Master of Science in Public Health. Campbell Veazey, Master of Science in Public Health. Brianna Watson, Master of Science in Public Health. Dupashika Falakala, Master of Science in Public Health. Megan Williams, Master of Science in Public Health. Shannon Wood, Doctor of Philosophy. B. Yaksan, Master of Science in Public Health. Congratulations to the most recent graduates from the Department of Population, Family, and Reproductive Health.
Reading the names of the graduates from the school-wide Master of Public Health program will be Dr. Cynthia Minkovitz, Professor and Chair of the Department of Population, Family, and Reproductive Health, Dr. Alan Scott, Professor and Vice Chair for Education in the Department of Molecular Microbiology and Immunology, Dr. Karen Bending Roche, Professor and Chair of the Department of Biostatistics, and Dr. Marie Diener West, Professor of Biostatistics and Chair of the school-wide Master of Public Health program.
Sandra Abbott, Tanya Abdul Malak, Rohin Arvind Agarwal, Barbara Agu, Teresa Aguilar, Sarah Ahern, Maida Ahmad, Bintu Ahijo, Ahmed Ibrahim, Shadi Akavan, Ezine Akudinobi, Othman Alamudi, Charlie Alexander, Juhad Al-Khatib, Janice Alote, Vinita Almada, Abdul Rahman Al-Sheikh, Yaakov Anziska, Tatsuya Aoki, Dinesh Arora, Sadia Arshad, Yolanda Arthur, Muhammad Askar, Mara Alsendorf, Jennifer Baker, Annika Balaji, Joshua Barracks, Alexa Barrier, Aaron Beasley, Beth Berkowitz, Margaret Berry, Jennifer Shireen Buyan Kadir, James Bean, Emily Blagg, Brittany Bland, Lindsay Blazin, Ellen Boachi, Diana Bongiorno, Tony Bukolarny, Rebecca Bowen, Amithoj Brar, Zabecca Brinson, Christopher Britt, Eric Roney, Ruth Bryant, Andrew Brick, Brady Campbell, Satcheli Campbell, Anna Paula Cardoso Richter, Robert Carlin, Susan Carr, Kathleen Carter, Ivana Castellanos, Alyssa Cawley, Arnab Chakrabarti, Jessica Chasler, Mihir Chowdhury, Brian Chen, Doris Chen. Li Chen. Julia Chen. EU Chen. Omar Shirkawi. Vinyas Chidabaram. Jeremy Chin. Malvern Chawesher. Anna Cho. Eric Choi. Josh Christensen. Kate Campaglia. Kate Shizlowski. Andrew Clack. Emily Cord. Jessica Coleman. Anne Colasso. Catherine Connolly. Friedrich Conrad. Edward Corti. Jason Crowley. Alexandria Cole Weatherer.
Elizabeth Blythe D. Pamela Delgado Barrasso. Zoe O. Demko. Langen Denhard. Isaac Matthew Emmanuel Dodd. Elizabeth Eggleston Dracotis. Julian Alexander Drix. Nora Duffy. Julia Elena Eckstein. Emily Rose Egbert. Daniel Seth Ehrenpreis. Salma Elmaria Villarreal. Katie Nicole Elfer. Victoria Banks Ellenbogen. John Uluwashi Irabor. Fahadi Esmailzadeh. Dr. Rojette Estiev. Samara Etema. Alex Fadal. Tyler Fan. Tululape Fashino. Aaron L. Fedema. Norma Ferraro. Catherine Guerra Fisher. Nicole Mercado Fisher. Rebecca Florsheim. Lauren Ashley Forbes. Rebecca Fowler. Julian Franco. Jessica Friedman. Jenna Elise Fritz. Leah Michelle Fraley. Emily Louise Fruchterman. Brian Fung. Shirley Fung. Charles Janesco. Mariam Garibron. Diego Gayunta. Kendra Manhertz Glasgow. Asta Goey. Orlando Chime Go. Elizabeth Bucknell Golightly. Shilpa Gopinath. Sanja Goyi. Christine Gain Groves. Stephanie Nicole Grube. Emily Gruber. Nai Cheng Gu. Masataki Gushin. Hala Hamada. Wakas Haq. Caitlin Hardell. Heather Hatcher. Jessica Louise Hawk. Catherine Heineman. Sonia Marcella Herrera. Kyle Xavier Hill. Karen Christine Hitchens. Geraldine Renee Hoover. Tingwei Su. Hu Shifan. Michelle Sunja Wang. Becca Mary Hubish. Shima Hussein Idris. Isa Atika Ishak, Pavani Jain, Kian Javadi, Brittany Denise Jenkins, Hannah Johnson, Deepa Joshi, Aruna Jashola,
Ben Khan, Keisuke Kakimoto, Claire Carlson, Masahiro Katihira, Gurpreet Kaur, Panapa Kawiwongprasert, Kathleen Kelly, Michaela Abeni Kelly, Shahirbano Khalid, Banda Abdallah Khalifa, Yunjeong Kim, Dahai Kim, Martha Chirabo, August Kanapi, Susan Elizabeth Kornacki, Ryan Koski Vashirka, Eric Kramer, Brianna Elise Kramer, Ya Adoma Kwapong, Sakina Lada, Wendy Angela Lai, Andrea Leao Santos Vega Cabral, Jenica Joplin Lee, Esther Lee, Ava Francoise Lenoir, Jaha Liang, Wanru Mona Liao, Hengyu Lin, Gwendolyn Diane Lister, Dr. Sang Luo, Erin Maydeen, Daniela Cecilia Malave, Nelson Malone, Laura Emily Mancia, Ashni Matthew, James Thomas McCallan, Gerardo Javier Melendez Torres, Claudia Minosh, Lily Hensey Merritt, Kayla Amber Meza, Catherine Mezzanotte, Darcy A. Milburn, Donald Richard Bailey Miles, Neha Misra, Dr. Udit Mohan, Colin Mall, Zoe Catherine Mall, Carrie Lynn Monroe, Alexandra Yuka Jasmina Murata, Talulapa Oluwatumi Musa Booth, Moath Mustafa Ali, Priyanka Mysore, Anna Najer, Tomoko Nakagami, Takuya Nakamura, Ho Namkong, Jonas Allen Nelson, Sophie Neuner, Charles Chak Chun Ung, William Win, Wachiko Nishizawa, Isosa Nosakere, Kansa Noir, Aksha Azhari Noor, Marianne Odell, Nana Esuman Oduru, Opeyemi Olodapo Shitu, Eniola Tinuola Oluyemi, Laura O'Sullivan, Yuichiro Otsuka, Joshua Grove Parks, Brittany Lee Parmentier, Priya Pathak, Bernardo Pessoa, Arisa Sadoni Peters, Rebecca Sarah Pizer, Emily Pond, Eli Pousson, Rebecca Pratiti, Prerika, Zhu Miao Pu, Jayraj Puthenvitil, Chantel M. Pyram Vincent, Nicholas Charles Pytel,
Fatima Kamar, Luis Quiroga, Ainalen Radosevic, Rafa Rahman,
Caroline Blair Rains,
Selvi Rajagopal, Pooja Rajivan, Imat Sabri Raga, Alice Rhodes, Lauren Christine Richardson, Hazem Rahawi, Travis William McKay Roberts, Julia Ruth Roche, Alin Rosenberger, Elizabeth Rubush, Shannon Ruzicki, Rachel Campbell Rybczynski, Rumit Sachdev, Richard Casey Satter, Kazumi Sakashita, Vincent Salvador, Annie Sanford, Holly Sawyer, Claire Schultz, Hannah Kelsey Schwartz, Jenny Eugene So, Dara Shah, Neha Shankar, Weber Shao, Sophia Shea, Stephen Shields, Abhinav Sidana, Ruma Simhan, Dakshayini Skanta Kumar, Jamar Slocum, John J. Louise Smith, Devanishi Somaya, Manish Srivatsava, Kimberly Stanford, Rachel Clara Stinson, Emma Strauss, E. Sun, Stacy Sun, Aliyah Sunderji, Alfred Traeger, Delaram Jasmine Tagapur, Rie Tai, Naoki Takamatsu, Tequila Terry, Sarah Traeger, Jennifer Ann Trumbore, She Viola Jean-Marc Matala, Reiji Sean Tsutsui, Nyan Lin Tun, Nina Herit Udashi, Olawatome Uwazota, Catherine Vanderteeg, Rachel Nicole Vargas, Kristen Jacqueline Vasara, Sarah Nicole Vick, Addison Huerta, Sierra Chioko Virtue, Kirtana Vishwanathan, Samuel Levy Vulcan, Julia Jane Wanger, Sarah Elizabeth Wallach, Heather Wayner, Kwang Hen Wong, Marie Ward, Jean Ann Marie Ware, Lakshmi Warrior, Madhura Nateen Wasnik, Sarah Elizabeth Webb, Anna Mae Weimer, Timothy James Westlake, Leah Jo Weston, Sarah Whaley, Haven Wheelock, Michaela Whitelaw, Sophia Winchester, Wee Min Woo, Wael Nabil Yar, Shinjae Cindy Yin, Michael Yong, Shamas Yusuf, Anna Marie Pacheco Young, Megan Young, Catherine Ann Zellner, George Zhang, Munchi Zhang, Dun Yuan Zhao, Asan Zile Ali, Brittany Alexandria Zulkowitz. Congratulations to the most recent graduates from the Master of Public Health program.
Before concluding the ceremony, I want to welcome each member of this year's graduating class into the Global Alumni Network of Bloomberg School and the Johns Hopkins Alumni Association. As a fellow alum, I can attest to the transformative power of a degree from the Bloomberg School of Public Health. It has opened doors to my serving in roles such as Deputy Commissioner of Health for my state to my current role as a Chief Medical Officer. I will forever be grateful for the perspective I gained here. And you are forever part of the history of the oldest, largest, and #1 school of public health. You have joined the ranks of public health heroes like Susan Baker, Chien Jin Run, Alexander Langmuir, Tobert Nyanswa, Edith Schoenrich, D.A. Henderson, Alfred Sommer, Michael J. Clack, and our Dean, Ellen McKenzie. And from networking events to key conversations and regional programming, do not miss out on unique opportunities available to our alumni. Please visit the alumni section of the school's website to stay connected and get involved. This concludes the ceremony. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all those who made this ceremony possible. And congratulations one last time to our graduates.